Okay, so let's just do our other look at the 2021 paper. Should be fine. The diaspora is best described as
Sir B.
is that a question or an answer?
This one.
So is it
Sir B.
Oh, B. Oh. All right. So you're saying that B is the best answer. If I hear D, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. 2. Under slavery. Wow. Caribbean society was characterized by
C.
C, sir.
All right. Which of the following is an independent Caribbean country?
Dominica.
All right. This looks to be Jamaica. Plantocracy was a term used to describe
D is in
D.
B.
D.
D.
Oh, okay. See, these B's and D's are gonna mix me up. All right. Why is this so blurry? Give it a moment. Which of the following concepts is not normally associated with the term Creole?
Sir, is it food?
Okay, I think in this one I'll put C as the answer.
D. Sure.
Sir, that don't make it. Oh, is it C?
No.
It's
Because I put C, means that Jesus came a second time and told us, right? But let's see.
Because
Food?
listen, right?
Go ahead.
Hear me.
Go ahead.
Usually, in like overseas country, don't they like market the food as Creole food?
I mean, I use the term Creole food a lot, so I don't think I'm a member of this of a good representative for sample of the population.
But usually the food referred as Creole.
Sir?
Yeah, they refer to it as Creole, but I'm not sure if Caribbean people refer to food as Creole. Go ahead, Trish.
Sir, C cannot be the answer because if we look at, for example, in Haiti, right? Pre-independence, right? The French from the metropoles considered those whites born in the Caribbean as Creole.
They
So C
are.
cannot be the answer.
No, I know what you're saying, right? Wait, Trish has her hand up, so I'm gonna allow Trish to go after, right? But it's saying that all of them here are referred to as Creole. Every single last one of them. We're saying that which one is not normally associated with the term.
Sir, the food.
Okay, food. All right, go ahead, Trish.
The food is normally to me. I've never really heard of a person born in the Caribbean being called Creole much.
Okay, go ahead, Trish.
Sir, I was just gonna say the same thing as the others. Well, according to the textbook, they don't mention food. Them just talk about it's a language, white person, and then an enslaved person born in the Caribbean. I don't see anything about food, and I'm looking at it right now. Well, according to the textbook.
With the text is it Jennifer?
No, it's the study guide. But I also believe it's in Jennifer. I know you love Jennifer.
Yeah,
Jenny is correctly. I think it's in there, but I'd have to double check.
Okay, anything in Jennifer is gospel, by the way, guys. But okay, so I think I understand with Cleon, right, that food is referred to as Creole as well. But I guess within a Caribbean context, it's not normally referred to as Creole. Do you guys normally hear people refer to food as Creole food?
No, sir.
Right? Because you guys are members of the population in the Caribbean, so I want you to tell us. Alright? So you're saying that in the study guide page 4. Okay, I'm gonna jump out. So I guess within a Caribbean context, it's not normally. But Cleon did say it within his statement as well that usually other countries refer to them. But probably not the Caribbean. Right? But it's not saying that it is not referred to, it's just not normally associated with in the Caribbean.
But like they never said the Caribbean here. Like they just said the word Creole. What is it not normally?
But I understand that I did not say Caribbean, but based on the fact that it's a Caribbean says paper, I would probably put A. But what would you put if you didn't?
I'd put C because I've never really heard of a white person born in the Caribbean being referred to as Creole.
Right.
Out of all
In a
bit north.
historical context, they are stated as Creole. But are they referred to as Creole? Okay, to be very honest, nobody really refers to white people as Creole persons in contemporary society, to be very honest. Only in historical context. But still in historical context, yes. So I would think
But
that
sir, what is the difference between D and C? What is the difference?
the one is of African descent and the other is
Sir,
of European.
not in that not in that regard, sir. But
Oh, different.
both of them are born in the Caribbean. So if you consider an enslaved person born in the Caribbean Creole, why
Mhm.
not a white person?
Exactly. It's giving racial segregation to me. But alright, we'll go with food. I think food is least likely referred to as Creole, to be very honest. So we'll go with that. Even the let me just put an asterisk there, right? 6. The Kalinagos were labeled as violent and warlike because the Spaniards thought the Kalinagos. Because Spaniards were, stupid enough to actually bring forth these ideas which were incorrect. But what did the answer say? What's the answer? They thought they were cannibals. They kind of were, but okay. Figures they protected their territories, yes, and they had no. Well,
Sir, didn't they have similar weaponry to the Tainos?
yeah, they had similar weaponry, so because both had this chimale and the don't remember the other thing, but they both had chimale, right? And they both had the bow and arrow thing, right? Bow and arrows and stuff like that. They were really similar. Go ahead, Trish.
Yes, sir. I was just gonna say I researched this question yesterday in my history textbook, and they were basically saying they had similar weapons. One wasn't really superior. They were practically the same. So I wouldn't include that in the answer.
Yeah, you see, as a fellow as a former history student, I would believe that they're similar. So 1 and 2 would be the best answers, right? It's just that their technique, right, for defense and for their military techniques were a bit more practiced than Tainos. So they knew. So it's not that they needed better weapons; it's that they knew how to use them. I know that term can be used in different contexts, but for this question, yes. They had a better understanding of militarism more so than the Tainos. Alright, so we're going with that. 7. Which of the following reasons did planters give for importing new laborers into the Caribbean after slavery ended? After. After slavery ended. Go ahead. It can't be before, but okay.
D.
Why? You're saying that D is the answer? Okay. So we have that there. That's fine.
But sir,
Go ahead.
going back to the question before that, really
Okay.
quick.
All right.
I know what you said, I know what the history book says, but I did some of my own research, Google and everything. And it did say that the Kalinagos' weapons were altogether more deadly than the Tainos, based on what they used. So if it was more deadly, then wouldn't
saying
it
it's
have
more
been
similar.
superior?
Okay, because weapons, the main purpose of a weapon is to kill or to destroy. Therefore, if it has a higher tendency to kill or destroy, it should be superior. I understand. Wait, let me
Sir.
see. Go ahead.
I have a question, sir. Even though you could say yes, they were more deadly, sir, wouldn't that be on the account that the Kalinagos were more warlike than the Tainos?
Well, they were more focused on militarism, right? But I think I forgot the person who just went a while ago. I think what she was saying is that the weapon itself is more deadly than the use of it than the Kalinago per se. It's just that the weapon was superior to that of the Tino. That's what she's saying.
Okay, sir.
Right, I understand that, but generally it kind of bothers me. But I understand probably where you get it though, because with the Kalinagos, right? Remember that the Tainos would have used blunt force tools, right? They would have used things clubs and stuff like that generally, right? And sharpened spears and stuff like that. But the Kalinagos specifically, due to their understanding of of warfare, they would have actually, the only difference would have been using poisons. They knew how to use poisons. So I think it's based on the fact that they would have like things like poison tip spears and poisoned arrows and stuff like that. That's why it would be deadly, right? Or more deadly. But I'm not sure if it is superior weaponry. It's just that you modify the weapons for them to be more deadly. You get what I'm saying? You just add poison. That's all they really did. They added poison to the weapons. So I want to ask you guys, is adding poison to the weapons considered superior weaponry? From your standpoint, what do you think?
Well, it kind of more advanced.
More advanced? Alright.
It's better than not without poison. Could be superior.
Okay. Anyone else?
When I think about superiority in terms of weaponry, I'd be saying like more the Aztecs or the Incas. If you're doing that comparison, I wouldn't say the Kalinagos towards the Tainos.
Alright. So all the different indigenous persons within the Caribbean archipelago, right? Well, I guess both archipelago, I guess the Great and Lesser Antilles, right? They would have clubs, spears, bows, and arrows, generally, right? Or those, right? The difference between the Taino and the Kalinago would have been that the Kalinago had, I think they had fire tips as well, and poison arrows, right? Fire tips meaning that they dipped it in something flammable, like the arrow of fire, then they would use it, right? So when the Kalinago went into warfare, the Kalinagos rarely hit something that didn't die, right? Usually their targets would die. With the Tainos, generally they didn't really do that. They just used the weapons, right? So I understand that you're trying to make the connection between the level 1 civilizations and the level 2 civilization, or group 1 and group 2 civilizations, right? But I'm wondering whether or not adding poison, right, or fire to weapons consider them superior. I would understand why you would say that, but I would also understand why you wouldn't. So I'm kind of on the border as it relates to this. Because it's not like they have different weapons, the same arrow, but one have poison. So is that superior than the one without? I guess so.
I would think so, sir, because as you said, when you're using a weapon, your intention is to kill or severely injure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adding poison would be a creative twist in a sense,
Okay.
and it would increase the likelihood of death. Then
Okay.
I would say it's more superior.
Alright, so we'll go with that and put the asterisk there, right? We'll go with that. I am recording, so I guess all the explanation is there as well while we go through it. And then I'll just send you guys the papers when I'm done. Which of the following CARICOM members share a land border? Trinidad and Tobago, hello.
Guyana and Suriname.
And Suriname.
Hello. I hear somebody say Trinidad and Tobago because they're connected. I was like, okay, sure. But Guyana and Suriname. Alright. The term culture may best be defined as
C.
C. I swear we've seen C as a definition for culture since probably the 6th grade. Alright, so C. 10. Which of the following statements best describes the Westminster system? Last
C.
minute. C. The Prime Minister is the head of government, and there is a clear separation of powers between executive and legislature. Fine. Alright. So there should be clear. So this with the no clear separation, nope. There is parliamentary sovereignty, not well within the Westminster system. Technically, there is. So that's why A is kind of contentious. D, the head of state is never head of state is not the head of government. Okay, the prime minister is. And then for C, C is fine, but I understand why some persons may say A though. I think C is better.
Yes,
Because
sir.
the
I
list
think
man,
C is better than A for this context.
yeah, because you can have constitutional supremacy and parliamentary sovereignty, right? But the Westminster system generally just speaks to the formation of parliament and how the separation of powers is enacted, right? Or the formation of government, I would say. 11. The main tectonic process in the Caribbean results from what? Volcanic activity or earthquakes?
A, sir.
Subduction. Alright, so we have a huge subduction zone within the Caribbean, right? With that subduction zone, is that the one that is through the Caribbean Sea, south of Grenada and Jamaica thereabout, or is it the one that is passing through Haiti? There's a subduction zone somewhere, I don't remember. Alright? But a subduction zone would have caused earthquakes, and earthquakes in turn can cause volcanic activity, right? To increase, and then that volcanic activity can cause volcanic eruptions. Right? So we'll go with that. Let's look at this now. Neocolonialism refers to
D, sir.
informal
Yeah, and,
colonization. Alright. You guys have any example of neocolonialism within the Caribbean?
Sir, Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme is neocolonialism. Okay, that's interesting. Multinational corporations, interesting.
Sir, sir, it depends how you look at it.
I
Because it
mean,
lives globalization.
it's the way how she said it. It's the way how she said it. Right, it's a Krispy Kreme. Alright, but it's not for the Caribbean, it's for one country. Remember, we as a people, right? Not just one. Right, so I can't talk to Jamaica alone. But probably, I don't know, Chinese intervention within Caribbean societies, I don't know. 13. Which of the following elements is involved in the Creolization process?
Sir, diversification? Well, I'm not sure.
Okay. I think I did a video on enculturation, acculturation, transculturation, and all those stuff already. But what would it be? You sure diversification? Anybody have an answer? Go ahead.
Sir, what about? I'm not sure. Wait, hold on, let me look at.
Sociology
for this.
students. Go ahead.
Half B is in boy for this one.
Okay, B. Alright, acculturation.
But like I thought acculturation was like
Simulation, right? Sir, so how is it that acculturation represents the creolization process? Because if you acculturate, sir, don't you, there is no form of mixture, you just accept one culture over the other one?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Sure?
Is that acculturation or assimilation? Because there are different words, aren't they?
What's acculturation?
I thought acculturation was like
Acculturation
basically
is the
assimilation is
assimilation.
dominant and the other types, yeah.
Acculturation doesn't encompass assimilation, that's the issue there. But acculturation doesn't mean that because you have a specific group, let's say group A and group B, not because group A is the colonizer means that group B is completely whitewashed and just takes up group A's culture, right? Acculturation usually is in a sphere of some type of cultural imperialism, right? But there is cultural modification and hybridization, right? And there is adapting of traits, and that's where syncretic religions come out of, and that's where cultural renewal activities come out of. Because once there's cultural erasure, there will be an attempt at cultural renewal, right? So there would be some amount of assimilation in which we'll take parts of your culture, right? But embed some parts of my culture into that culture, if you get what I'm saying. So acculturation can bring forth new cultures. And these are usually syncretic cultures or cultures that are normally formed out of oppression.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that with like how Christianity, where they had to pick up Christianity, and they just kind of mixed it with their own sort of culture and stuff they had before to create synchronous religions.
What did Brathwaite say about Creolization? What is Creolization?
Sorry,
You know
repeat the question.
What is Creolization? What did Brathwaite say about Creolization?
I'm sorry, didn't he say it was a mixing and mingling of various cultures due to a shared geographical type situation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
All right. So what do you guys see as the answer here? Creolization is a type of cultural hybridization. Remember that, right? So what we're saying, enculturation? What's enculturation? You guys have
Would
to learn
not
different ones now. Go ahead.
within
it's
culture that be taking up like your own culture in a sense, learning of your own culture.
All right. Individuals of a society would learn their own culture, so it wouldn't generally be that, right? And diversification, Creolization will bring forth diversification, so I don't think that would be it. So I think that B would be the most solid answer, right? And that is because Creolization is kind of like a type of diversification. Because if Creolization is a type of cultural hybridization, and cultural hybridization brings forth new culture, therefore it will create a diverse array of cultures, right? So it would increase the amount of cultures that exist, hence increasing diversification of culture, right, within a society or within a region per se, right? So I would think that acculturation would have been the best ploy. We're saying that acculturation is associated with some type of imperialism, right? With some type of dominant culture taking over the lesser, right?
Sir, I agree. Well, I read no, so I agree with acculturation. It said that in terms of acculturation, you don't necessarily lose your like traditional culture, your own culture. So I guess that would be the answer for you.
Because if it's about some amount of oppression, right? For example, the whites, right, and the colored persons within the Caribbean, right? Our ancestors have been forced to accept things through acculturation, but we still hide bits of our culture within theirs, and that's how Creolization really is there, right? In order to unite all oppressed peoples as one, as Brathwaite would have hinted at, right? That's how Creolization became one thing, right? Remember Edward Campbell Brathwaite, the Barbadian writer, sorry, the Bayesian poet, alright? 14, the main aim of colonial education in the Caribbean was to
Have a
is the way we them put colonial, they should just put education. Hashtag Marxist. But control the masses, that's fine. 15. Which of the following theorists is closely associated with the term Creolization? Obviously it's Jennifer Mohammed, right? Because she's always right. Jennifer is always right, just saying. Let me just remove that. Remember when I was doing a paper one and somebody in my class put Jennifer Mohammed as the answer? I'm like, okay, she's always the answer. Or this theorist? Let me just... Alright.
Usually you put it that you're familiar with, so Jennifer Mohammed.
16. Which of the following is a non-economic indicator of development?
A.
Right. Good governance. Does the Caribbean have a good governance meter? I'm not sure. Dependency ratio is determined by calculating... What would it be? C, right? Which of the following are the main social indicators which used to measure the level of development of a country?
D.
D.
You sure? So which is a D? I'm like offended already. I'm offended by the way you answer. I'm so sorry. So it can't be that. Can't be that. It can't be that. All right. So let's look at this. Which of the following are ways in which globalization presents itself?
Sir,
Think
C.
3. So it'll be C.
All right, 2 and 3, open economic space and commercialization of cultures. That's fine. All right, racial segregation tends not to be one of them. Tends not to be one of them. Just saying that. Right? There are political situations till this day that suggest otherwise, but C is the answer for that. 20. Which institution in the integration movement preceded the Caribbean Caribbean Community and Common Mark? What is that?
Sir,
CCM?
B.
Triple CM. Right? Okay, B, right? Caribbean Free Trade. What is this? Is this CSME? No, it's not CSME. Whatever that is, B is the answer.
Third, both of those are named for CARICOM.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
CARICOM. Oh, that makes sense. Right, and CSME, well, CARIFTA, right, was dismantled within 1973, and then CARICOM, well, while the Treaty of Chaguaramas was being signed, right, and as I mentioned before, Pablo Picasso died as well. 21. Which of the following Caribbean movements has globalization influenced most?
D, sir.
A.
Yeah, go with A. Okay, universal adult suffrage. What does that speak to?
Sir, the ability of persons 18 and older to vote.
Well, persons of the age required. Because it's not 18 everywhere, but yeah, the age required by the law to vote, right? So you're saying that was influenced by globalization? So you're saying
I agree now with C. Sorry.
fight for independence too?
I'm thinking
Sir,
that
I
if
I had a teacher tell me B, so I'm not sure.
I can see where C makes sense, sir, because the French Revolution and all of those things inspired all of this over here in the Caribbean. So
No, the inspired fight for the emancipation.
wait,
yes,
wasn't
sir.
like Haitian Revolution the main thing that caused people to fight for independence?
No, it was the Haitian Revolution. It was the American Revolution. Okay, we're not gonna go too far, but
But the French Revolution influenced the American Revolution, so everything kind of chain reaction.
Voila. Okay, let me just say this once, right? It's not for Caribbean studies, but it's the Enlightenment which influenced the American Revolution, which influenced the French Revolution, which influenced the Haitian Revolution, which influenced the Grenadian Revolt, that influenced the Jamaican Christmas Rebellion, right? So, yeah, right? I understand that though, what you mean by globalization, right? So, but the fight for freedom specific, I don't think it would be the most, because we're looking at globalization. We're saying that, what is it saying by globalization influence it? What is that saying? What does that mean? Is it saying that these ideas are the proponents of these ideas came from extra-regional societies? Is that what we're saying?
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
From extra-regional societies, wonderful, right? No, even though the fight for independence, the fight for emancipation, right? It should be the fight for emancipation, right? That was influenced by globalization mostly, right? Independence would have come after. So after, remember, there were revolts to end enslavement. So it's technically not independence per se, if you get what I'm saying, right? Haiti just went further, right? Above and beyond, as Haiti should, all right? But it's emancipation I'm speaking about. So I wouldn't say fight for independence with most. Remember again, they're not saying that globalization affected none of them, they're saying that which one most, right? Universal adult suffrage would have had an effect through globalization, but mostly it was the issues that were happening in the Caribbean at the time for the 1930s disturbances, right? Right there around World War II would have sparked some amount of movement. So the forming of workers' unions and stuff like that, and the unions became political parties, and we have the rise of Cipriani and Uriah Butler and not Marcus Garvey, Norman Manley and those persons, right, across the Caribbean. So I think that would be more internal, more so than external, right? Black power though, I have no idea what that means, but it's probably speaking about probably negritude and probably Pan-Africanism and Garveyism and those type of stuff. These and Rastafari as well, because I was a part of it. Most of those things were usually internal more so than external, right? Globalization helped influence other countries or other societies, namely within Kenya and South Africa and Nigeria and these places to take up notes of Caribbean Pan-Africanism or Caribbean Black consciousness, right? I would say that B is mostly attributed to what was happening in the Caribbean more so than globalization per se. That's my thought. As I'm saying, I'm not speaking gospel, right? I don't exist in the Bible, right? Therefore, this is my understanding of it. I would say that feminism would have been more influenced by globalization than anything else here. But I do understand why persons say black power, because my Caribbean studies teacher did say black power and I had an issue with it. But I'm not sure what you guys would put here. Because some persons would put black power.
Sir,
Go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing with you or anything. It's just a question. Would feminism be considered a major Caribbean movement, though? I mean, most people don't necessarily focus on it in the Caribbean. At least I don't think so.
Well, the question doesn't encompass whether or not it's minor or major, but it's not really major, to answer your question.
Sir, so what would you suggest as the answer?
I would suggest A as the answer, but if not A, B.
Sir, B?
Yeah, if not A, B. I would put A, but if I don't put
boy,
A,
sir?
yeah.
Sir, but how globalization influenced black power in the region?
It's probably because it's a lot of history. It's a lot of history. I don't really want to get. Go ahead.
But sir, you just said that we had various grassroots movements within the region, right? That facilitate the whole idea of black consciousness and black power, sir. So how would globalization influence that? Wouldn't it just support it?
It would support it and it would help bring it to other countries. Because remember when I was like looking at the paper tools and we were showing different communities across the black world that carry on Caribbean grassroots movements, right? We're looking at that, But I'm saying that if I don't put A, I'm probably gonna go with B. Right? But I don't think that B is the answer though. I think that A is the answer. Because feminism per se, you did have persons like Mary C. Cole and Elma Francois and these persons, right? And dare I say Portia Simpson Miller? I dare not. But these persons who brought up feminist ideas within the Caribbean. But I think that it was usually from an extra-regional perspective that influenced feminism the most within the Caribbean. Because even though we had like a trio, I don't remember the names of all the women, and that's a bit sexist, but I don't remember the names of all the women, but they had a huge impact on education systems within the Caribbean, and they led feminist movements. But to be very honest, majority of us, I should say, don't really know anything about those movements, right? And I think that these movements would have been carried out through globalization more so than anything else. So I'm not sure if anything else would be the answer, but I would go with A as the answer. Because all I would say is that B has grassroots beginnings within the Caribbean, C has grassroots beginning within the Caribbean as well, and D has grassroots beginning within the Caribbean. It's not that... I mean, the fight for independence would have some globalized influence, but I think that Caribbean citizens would have wanted that more so than being influenced by the rest of the globe per se. So I think that A would have been one. Is that fine? Can we move on?
Yes, sir.
22, which of the following indicators of development is generated from information that is derived from an inequality survey?
A, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, the Gini Index. All right. Moving through now, the WTO was founded in what year?
1995.
Wonderful. The RSS is an institution of CARICOM. In which of the following areas does the RSS operate?
Security, sir. Security.
Wonderful. Which of the which of the following is not a reason why some Caribbean politicians attempted to implement changes based on Marx, not Michael Manley, through thoughts in the latter half of the 20th century. All right.
C, sir.
Looking at that. See why. Are you sure? Why?
Sir, the need to maintain tenets of colonial rule.
Yeah, the C is basically like everything a Marxist would go against.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And I know that most of y'all are Marxists. Right? I mean, humans are inherently Marxist, right? Unless they start to defend their own ideals, which they become capitalist. But okay. A major challenge faced by Caribbean countries in achieving integration is
Insularity.
insularity. What is insularity?
So I just know that they don't agree with one another.
Okay, sure. That can suffice. Alright. Let's look at this. 27. The members of the OECS share more achievements among themselves than their Caribbean CARICOM counterparts, right? Which of the following is not a common achievement of the OECS?
Sir, government.
Government. Alright. Early 19th century writings from an indigenous perspective served to
D.
notions held by Europeans. Alright. Which of the following activities is an example of the mass media acting as an agent of socialization?
Sir, C.
Alright. I don't know. I think that this question is contentious. I'm just gonna
It
guess.
is, sir. I hate this question
Go
so
ahead.
much.
Anybody who doesn't say C, go ahead. Tell me your answer
not?
and why. Not the silence. Okay, I guess it's not
Yeah.
contentious. You said A.
Colonization, I
Alright.
don't know, like
I'm sorry, I think it's lagging, so I didn't hear you start speaking. I apologize. Can you go ahead?
you hear me now?
Yes.
Alright, I was saying that I think it could have been A, because A seems more like socialization actually occurring, like a popular talk show host or something.
What socialization?
I'm not sure if it's like, I'm not sure if those things whereby like you would have the people go on, we call it like the radios or whatever, and then people could like call in and talk or something.
It's influencing
Or
the
it's like-
masses, but what is socialization?
Isn't this socialization just communicating between people in a sense?
Like
No.
sharing of norms and
Ah.
values, or like passing it down and stuff like that.
So it's
Well, I don't
sharing
know
of
how C is real socialization though. Like,
norms and values, right? These norms and values can relate to wages, housing, education, healthcare, and stuff like that. Socialization, right? So it changes values, and I think that C would have inflicted some amount of influence the values of the people within a general society. When you show a documentary on healthy eating habits, that would influence the persons to change their values or their norms, right, to shift them towards something, I guess, more dietary or more healthy, right, more so than anything else. Running an advertisement for a furniture company will not impart different values or norms onto the society. Utilizing the most up-to-date print technology, it may look pretty nice, right, but that is too vague, right, to assume that that will be an agent of socialization. And employing popular talk show hosts, we're not hearing anything in A, right, that suggests that suggest or imply, right, modifying any social norm within society. Remember that socialization speaks to imparting different aspects of culture, different aspects of the norms of the society, right? Anything like that onto society. But so because A and B are completely vague and D doesn't make any sense, that's why I would go with C.
I see.
Because
Alright.
if it is for the line graph question or the line graph question, right, that we see that bar chart was extremely vague, therefore, right, we can't be impartial. 29 has A being vague, so I would say that C is the answer. Right, but at the end of the day, when you finish writing up your examination card and everything, you can put the answer that you feel is the best, right? If you feel something touching the exam and the spirit's A, yeah, right? You can do that. 30. Social justice in society is mainly concerned with.
B. Equal access.
2. Equal access to what? Wait, what is this? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Equal access to resources and opportunities.
Okay, and all of those good stuff. All right. Okay. Reliability in research refers to the extent to which a researcher is able to
A.
get similar results. So it's speaking about well, it's not replicability per se, but like how accurate the stuff is. So how close the results are, right?
Reproducibility.
Yes, that thing. That's something plus ability, right? Or something at the end. Yeah, that. Alright, so 32. A hypothesis may be described as.
Prediction of an outcome. B.
Alright. False prophets. Interesting. 33. Which of the following describes the purpose of a literature review?
D as in dog.
Successfully. Alright. Don't hear any contention to these yet. 34. Hold on.
I saw somewhere that the answer for 33 was B.
Okay, hold on. Let's just do 34 and then we'll go back to that. A researcher wishes to conduct an investigation on the effects of physical abuse on children at a primary school. Which of the following does he need before interacting with the children? This sounds so weird. Go ahead.
Dog.
He needs permission from the school's guidance counselor.
B as in boy.
I would say B as in boy.
Okay.
Sir,
Go ahead.
so I have a question about this. I asked it in the group, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had B at first, which is the consent from the parents. Sir, but then I was saying, being as the topic of the research is about physical abuse, sir, wouldn't asking the parents, like going beyond the guidance council and asking the parents for consent, create some level of
animosity?
Not on yes,
Because what
animosity.
if they're being abused from
Right,
home?
that's what I was saying. What if the child is being abused, right? No, the parent is aware that this research is being conducted and influence the answer that comes out of the child. So I was thinking about it a lot, and very deeply. So I don't know what is the answer for this personally.
You know, so much just sit down. We just see it now. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why I say D. Because it's relating more to school. And what Tony just explained makes a lot of sense.
I guess if we could look at the legal aspect won't work here. What I was trying to explain a while ago that I think that the law wouldn't even assist me in explaining is that once they're at school, isn't like the guidance counselor or the school responsible for them. So if they're conducting the research at school, they would still need consent from the parents, but based on the delicate nature of this matter, right? We're probably investigating the parents. So I'm not sure if you're gonna ask the parents to investigate them, because what you're doing is literally putting them under a magnifying glass. So this sounds like a pretty good answer for this. What do you guys say?
Yes, sir. I agree with D as well.
Alright. If you look at it from that perspective, then sure. Because I didn't really look at it like that, partially because the question never printed properly right here, or never photocopied properly, but yeah. somebody was talking about 33, right? So the purpose of literature review, what was the difference? Answer.
Sir, C. Not C, sir. Sorry. B.
The literature. Okay, how did you do your IA?
Sir, listen, I just asking.
No, Mr. Ask. Because for a research to be done, generally what we do is literature review, right? And then we review the literature to see the existing theories that exist out there. Well, the existing theories that are present, right? Or the existing well, I have to use the word theories. So the existing theories, right? Put that down as the basis of the research. And then we collect our own information, then we analyze it. Right? So I don't think the literature review would summarize the findings of the research. The literature review would have been prior researches that have been done before. It can't be, it is the analysis, right? The analysis or the discussion that summarizes the findings, not the literature review. All you do, you review literature to get context, and then you do the research, analyze the research, and then you summarize the findings within a discussion. So I think it's that. 35. Which of the following satisfies the criteria for a good research question?
What do we see?
What is a good strategy to improve student understanding of main ideas in Caribbean studies text? That's fine. It's not a why question. Well, I mean, why questions can work, but like, okay, do general education teachers law? No, this is too vague. Do general education and special education teachers evaluate students' homework differently? Yeah, that is wrong as well.
Wouldn't it just be like a yes or no?
That's a yes or no question. Closing it. Okay, 36. Which of the following best represents the criteria for selecting materials to be included in a research report?
Sorry, B?
B?
No.
Do it. Oh, it's either this or this? Okay, what were we looking for? Quality or adequacy? I think that's no, that's not the difference. You have stability as well. Okay. Relevance, credibility. Go ahead.
I think it's part of it to me. And more like creditable, source, relevant and adequate.
So you put D as in dog as well, alright. For the person who said B, why you put B, this one? Why this?
I was just really and truly for me it was just the two end ones, and I really did not know. Like I was contemplating like the whole idea of adequacy, so that's why I ended up with B.
Oh. I think it has to be adequate, right, based on what research you're doing. Because if you take a research paper, right, or like a source, right, and it doesn't contain enough information, right, for you to draw conclusions from it for your research paper, right? For example, if you're looking at cyberbullying, and out of the entire paper you read, they only say like, oh, phones are bad for children, which is like, that is like one sentence. It's not adequate enough to add to the literature review or to add as a source. So it has to have enough information that speaks to your topic in some way, whether or not it supports or denies it, right? To be used. So I think that D would be the better answer. This is so communication studies. I don't really like this. All right. Dr. Goodwin, right, told her students that while conducting their research, they should think about how the data will be collected and the impact of the data collection is like, well, that the data collection is likely to have on the respondents. To what research concept is Dr. Goodwin referring?
A.
Okay. So we're looking at the effect of the research method or data collection method on the respondents. All right, so she takes into consideration that. All right. 38. In which of the following categories of sampling techniques can purposively a
Sir
researcher
D.
wonderful. A researcher wants to see how mothers on a playground interact with each other. What method of inquiry would be most suitable for the researcher to use?
Sir, observation.
Why?
Observation, sir.
Observation, wonderful. Which of the following is the first step in selecting a sample for research?
Defining the population.
Defining the population.
All right, wonderful. 41. Participant observation is viewed as a subjective method of data collection because.
We had D for this one last time.
Yeah.
Sir, this was D.
Yeah, and its content. Just so let me just put that there. The main difference between a trend and a pattern is that a trend.
Sir, B.
Mm-hmm. You sure?
A trend, isn't a trend observed over time? While a pattern is
Yes, it is.
So how would be?
It is, sir.
Isn't
A
that
trend
trend
is-
recognized over time?
You have to
A trend is not like something like in the current time. A trend and a pattern is over time because it's seen like from previous time. That was what anything can be.
Okay. Hold on. Repeat what you said, Cleon, so I can verify what I just told you.
I was saying a trend, right? Like
Mhm.
usually, like most of the questions, even on the like CSEC, they're like, what is the trend over the years? So, like you have to look over the years to make like see the general trend or something.
No,
A
okay.
pattern, you have
That's-
to.
That's a pattern.
A
Exactly,
pattern.
because things could change and something else could trend. Something that is trending can last for a short time.
If you think of it like that as something trending, then but
Well, that's what trend speaks to.
Sir, but wouldn't trends be current?
Trends. Okay. Trends can be current, right? For example, let's see. What could I use? I could use a beauty standard, but I'm not sure if that would be appropriate. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
According to Google, so it's like a trend is a general direction of price over a period of time, and a pattern is a set of data that follow a recognizable form, which analyst then
Mhm.
attempt to find in the current data. So based on this,
B.
that's boy.
Right. I think the trend you said was like
Either way.
economic in value, but yeah.
ARB too.
Mhm. So let me see if I could find out. Let's talk about. I'm trying to find an example to explain this, right? I could either use like the style of wearing pants within African American communities, or body mass for females. I'm not sure whether or not, both of those are problematic. But let's use body mass, right? For example, within like 100 years ago, right? Women generally with more weight, I guess, would be referred to as thick in nowadays, right? Would have been referred to as more of beautiful, right? So they had more beauty standards, right? As it relates to whites fetishizing women of Afro descent and stuff like that, right? And then after a while, it became completely unlikable, right? So that was trending at that time, but after a while, it stopped trending, right? As a thin waist and thin lips and stuff like that became the norm of around the 1980s to around early 2000s, right? And then now picking up back from 2010 till now, right? It has now been trending again for persons to have, right, women to have a little bit more weight, or referred to as thick, right? Fuller lips, fuller eyebrows, and those type of things have become trending again within society as at a point. So the trend will change over a small period of time. For example, 10 years ago, like extremely tight pants were trending within the Caribbean, right? And then nowadays, I don't think it's trending as much. But after a while, as trends rise and fall, patterns emerge over time. You get what I'm saying? Even though I just mentioned like problematic statements, but yeah.
So the answer is B.
Yeah, I would say B.
Okay.
Trends are in the moment. For example, like exactly what you were saying, then when something is trending, that is what
If you
trends
say,
refer to.
hold on. In the term of what is the general trend of the data, isn't it like you'd see an increase? For example, in statistics, like an increase in gas prices, something is a general trend.
Are you thinking of this
Like,
as
if
in a
you think of it,
scientific way?
I'm just thinking of it in the way of analyzing a graph, like the difference between like a trend and a pattern. Like,
Oh, it's probably not. Well, okay, let me see.
do that
I get what you're saying.
when you look at it.
But patterns are usually recognizable over time. Okay, so even if you don't agree with trend like that, right, and it's fine not to agree, right? Do you agree that a pattern is recognizable over time?
I mean, pattern can be recognized in current data, so
Well,
you
I
don't
get
have
what
to
you're
be over
saying.
time.
But a pattern, it must have time in order to emerge, right? You can't analyze a pattern from like just 1 month of data. You have to look at how it compares to the next month and the other month. But you can know what is a general trend. It can be an upward. For example, let's say that gas prices are decreasing from January, right, to February. Well, not January to February, January to June, all right? Let's say that from January to June, gas prices decrease, right? Now, you can see a pattern of the decrease of gas prices from January to June, but within the month of January, you won't be able to tell specifically of that specific pattern that will emerge until you reach June, right? It could just be a general downtrend in gas prices, and then the gas prices could increase, right, in the next month. But you have to allow some amount of time to pass for the pattern to establish itself. Because the trend can be recognizable within current data, It can be. And a pattern could be, right? But the full pattern, right, can only be, seen in its entirety over a period of time. If you get what I'm saying. So within a specific time period, you can see an upward or a downward trend. It's either the curve going up, down, sideways, whatever it wants to be. But after the entire reaction or entire interaction is finished between the two variables, then a pattern can emerge, or a pattern emerges that shows a full interaction between independent and independent variable. I think I'm over-explaining.
Yes. And I'm just remembering everything like on trend. Like most questions it's asked what is the general trend you see like over time you're assessing it. So that's why.
I understand, because those are usually in biological graphs. Right, so I think you're analyzing like that, but B would be the best answer here. We can have a conversation about it after, I guess. We just need to finish up the paper and then we'll do that. The purpose of the conclusion and to a research study is to
C.
You sure?
Yeah.
C. Summarizing the key findings of the research.
It's the way who sees the answer here, but I will never want you to do that in your essay. Right? But okay, in an essay, no, don't do that. But 44, correlation in research refers to the
C.
Wonderful. And 45? Which of the following is a probability sampling method?
D as in dog.
Simple random. Everybody's fine with this paper? Well, except for trends and things.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so let's have that discussion around that paper now.